Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Where we live, where we work, so important. And the functionality of those places is so important. And that starts with somebody like this gentleman right here. He's an incredible architect and CEO of John Riggio Architecture. Mr. John Riggio is back on the show. And John, welcome. How are you today?
Okay, great. How are you, Steve?
Doing fantastic. I'd like to dig in, if we would, about architecture trends for 2022, because it's always moving. There's a lot of different things going on, things people are asking for, things that are getting popular. You okay with that? Can we talk about some of those trends?
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Let's go over some of them.
Excellent. What about, I'm hearing a lot about prefabricated architecture, and I know we skimmed the surface a couple of podcasts back, but is that being done a lot where things are prefab and then put together?
Yes, there's a lot of prefabricated architecture, and it seems to be increasing. I think it started off with some residential houses. People were having the whole houses pre-manufactured, and then the architect would put a foundation down, and they could take the pieces of the house and assemble them on the foundation. That's one of them. And now a lot of that technology is going into the construction, the residential, the commercial. I think one of them is in the residential. I had already talked about the superior walls. These are walls that are pre-manufactured. They have insulation, concrete, and metal, and then they are taken from the manufacturing company, put on trucks, brought to the site, and then assembled with a crane. So wow. This is that is new. It's going really good. People like it. It seems like it's cost effective, and it's working very good. A new trend that's also happened is two of them. One is the commercial buildings, particularly like industrial warehouses. Instead of building the old-fashioned I-beams with standard I-beams for the roof, what's happening is that whole design is going to a manufacturing company now. And they are doing something very similar like Superior Walls. They are pre-manufacturing the whole steel frame. They take the whole steel frame, it's designed at a factory. They take the pieces, put it on a truck, bring it to the site, and then the whole thing is assembled with a crane. This is something new, and it's really taking, I think it's the same idea. It's really cost effective, and people like the finished product. Wow. I think as far as those buildings, there's a couple types of exterior finishes. Sometimes they could put like a concrete panel, or they could put a concrete, not concrete, but a corrugated metal on the upper part of the building. And then you might see like a wainscot of like stone or brick on the bottom. So a lot of those buildings are really pre-manufactured steel frames that are brought on site and then assembled.
So essentially, it is somewhat custom, even though it's prefab, where you're telling the manufacturer what you want, and they're putting it together, getting it ready, and then it's sent, and then it just makes the construction a lot faster.
Yes, it makes it faster, and it seems to be cost saving. It's somewhat standardized, which a lot of people like, the standardized construction. And from that, it seems to be working good. People like the idea, and I'm working on some projects like that, and it's working okay.
What about solar powered architecture? Now we know, solar panels been around for a long time, but what's the newest trend in that?
Yes, with solar power, it has been around. They've had different kinds of solar panels over the years, and now most of them are the ones that are gaining electric power, and from that the electric power is then going back into the lines, going back to the electric company. And that kind of electric panel is really taking, many people have those on their house. Really, an architect doesn't design the solar panels, but they're usually something that's discussed with the client. Sometimes I'd have to provide for a space maybe where they're going to put a electrical panel box, where they're going to put their panels on the roof, things like that. So that's a consideration in the design. And also the structure of the roof. If you're going to put panels on the roof, that the structure is going to support some of those panels. So that's one consideration. And there's different kinds of the electric panels. and that's usually installed by a company. I think the most really like advanced style that was really a solar panel that looks like it's a roof shingle, and it's put onto the house. So it looks just like a roof shingle, but it's really a solar panel.
Hmm.
That is like the newest kind of panel I've seen. But a lot of them people have is like a panel, maybe it's like 2 feet by 4 feet they're putting on their houses, and they connect them together, and they're going to a electric box that is supplying electricity. And I think people are happy with it. They like to put these solar panels on the roof. It's saving them a lot of money.
I heard something about tiny homes being a trend now. I don't know what that means, but have you seen are homes getting smaller in terms of requests for architecture?
No, I think the smallest house I've seen is just a 1 bedroom house. I mean, that's the smallest house I've seen. Almost all houses are always like a detached house is always a 2 bedroom house, but a small tiny house is built. I've only seen some articles about having an idea of having like a modular house that might be more like a 1 bedroom or studio bedroom, but I haven't really seen too many uh, houses that are really very small, like 1 bedroom house. Most people want to add on the square footage right now, but I
Hmm.
haven't seen them really want to make a really small 1 bedroom house.
Yeah, I don't know why I heard about that, and maybe it's not in this country, but it was one of the trends that I saw online. How about designing homes that are extremely energy efficient and green? I know the word green has been around for a lot of years now, but are there things that are being requested or things that you do to make homes extremely environmental friendly?
Yes, I think each house that we're building now is already very, very energy efficient. We're using the newest technologies. I think all of the heating systems are called direct vent. They no longer use any chimney, and the water heaters are also even going from tankless. A lot of people are going with just the electric coil heaters. This is very high efficient.
Hmm.
That's some of the newest things. And then as far as insulation goes, some people to get really the highest energy efficiency, some houses have the spray insulation. That's the really to get the tightest envelope. So yeah, I think on each project I work on, I of course do the energy check with res check to make sure it's going to meet the state requirements. That's for one. So it's always going to meet the state requirements. And then as far as the technology is concerned, we're always using the newest technology as far as the heating systems and uh, the like say the hot water heater and the mechanical unit are always high efficiency units. The new units, like really you want to get a high efficiency unit of a minimum 92%. And I think a lot of people are installing a unit that's approximately about 95, 96%. That's like the usual unit people are installing. You can go as high as like a 98%. That's like the top of the line heating system is like a 98%. Some of them are 98% that we put in. And with that also, you can also get things like extra things with the dehumidifier. You can get the extra filtration of the air, things like that. So this the whole thing is really much more uh, efficient and better for your health.
I My last house, the hot water heater went, and I installed an on demand. And what a game changer that was! Took up literally that much space, and
Yes.
you turn the water on, you wait a couple of seconds, bam, it heats up. Um, Interesting idea. Didn't even know it existed, and this is probably 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I can't imagine how much better they are now, right?
Yes, yes. I think the first unit that I worked on that was really high efficient was a Boxy Luna unit in New York City, and that is like the first thing that took hold. And many more projects now. Every project is a high efficiency unit. They have all the different brands are making them. It's easy to get the high efficiency units. Everyone is installing a unit that's somewhere at least over 92% or
Hmm.
more. So it's is all the units are much more high efficient now. The old 80% efficient units, they're not really being installed anymore. You need an old fashioned chimney for an 80% unit.
How about radiant heat, where there's some tile and then there's coils underneath it or hot water pipes to heat that up in, let's say, a kitchen or a bathroom. Do you get requests for that?
Yes, we're still using that. I think that is a heating system that they had. I think like in say for instance, the Levitt houses had all the slabs heated and things like that. We're still using that. I'm still using that on a lot of projects, or
Wow.
residential projects in some locations. I think in each area there's a variety of places that either have like crawl spaces, basements, or slabs. And so a lot of times we're using the heated slab. Commercial was still doing some, I'm specifying some heated floors a lot of times. And the heated floor technology has, of course, become high efficiency units. And they're using all kinds of new piping, new plexi piping and things like that with the heating system. So that whole technology has advanced forward. We're still using the radiant heat in the floor.
I heard that it's also used on driveways to melt snow and ice. Is that so? Do you get involved with any of the outside planning of a house when you do the architecture?
Yeah, I think the only problem with the ice on the ground outside is I think they have some ordinances that you're not really allowed to melt the ice in the other house. I think that's the only problem. So maybe they'll develop a technology where they can get around that where it isn't a problem. But
Wow.
that's I think that's the only consideration. I think knowing about past years, yeah, you weren't allowed to melt the ice in front of your house years ago, but yeah, maybe it's going to change. Yeah, I've heard of that
Never heard
technology
about
with
that.
melting the outside.
You would think that it would be proactive that you melt the ice outside and minimize the chance of somebody falling and getting hurt and lawsuits and things like that.
Yeah, I think what happened with that is was I think just the opposite was a problem. People used to melt the ice in front of the house, and then people when it started to freeze again, then you had a big sheet of ice there. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I think yeah, if they perfect that, that would work good. It's a possibility.
Sure.
I think that's probably an idea they had to work on, where the ground would have to be completely dry, and so no one could hurt themselves. And then because usually I think with any ice situation, you would have to put on some salt or sand, so the any ice would stay melted. I mean, that's how it usually works.
When you do the design of a house, how involved do you get with the outside architecture or the yard and things like that, or is that something you usually don't get involved in?
I do design some front yards for either residential or commercial. I think right now what is specified is something called Allen block. And we usually use Allen block, or there's another company called Cambridge that we're also using.
Sure.
But there's usually what's called Allen block is usually what's been specified usually in any kind of landscape situation. So I think as far as myself, stamping something as an architect, if we're working on a new driveway area, the ground is sloping, usually I'm going to specify things like Allen block. If it's a big heavy retaining wall, the standard is always like a 12-inch poured concrete wall, and that's usually the industry standard. But anything that's going to look really good as far as like a landscape, I usually go with the Allen block. That is the best thing.
Gotcha. And Cambridge is paving stone, right? Similar to Nico Lock. That's another.
Yes, those are
brand.
all different brands of the same kind of interlocking retaining wall system, and it usually has a drainage system involved with that, and you have to design the drainage system. So I usually would specify that kind of look on a retaining wall system.
Got that in my backyard. Sorry, right on point. There is a drainage system sort of in the middle of where it is so that the water kind of, you don't even see the slope, but it's just enough to make sure that the water that drains off and the drain is only this wide. I mean, it's hardly even detectable.
Yes, that's a new technology that's coming out from the like late 80s, 90s, and that has taken hold. It seems to have been successful. It works really good.
So with the outside, let's talk residential for a second. What's popular on the outside of houses? Is it some form of brick, some form of siding, just siding? What are you getting requests for now?
Yeah, I think the industry trend is still using a thin brick or thin stone. This is good. It's saving a lot of money. You can use a real authentic brick or authentic stone, but you can put it right on the outside surface of the sheathing. And that has still been good. Another system that's a perfected system, which is the insulation for Drive It. That's the name being Drive It. It's exterior insulation finish system, and this is another system we still use on a lot of houses. It gives like a stucco finish, but it has a lot of insulation, and it works really good to insulate the house, and you get a nice look. For that system, you really need a certified installer and system to install, so it looks really good. That's another newer system that's been coming out of like say like 1980s and 90s, and that has really taken hold. I'm still specifying a lot of Drive It on houses, and all the time on commercial buildings too.
I love the look of that stone on the front of a house. And I moved into a house, there was siding. Didn't want to have the expense of putting what you're describing on. So there's siding that looks just like stone. And I have it on my house. And from if you're right up to it, you can see, oh, well, all right, wait a minute, that's not stone, but you can't even tell the difference. And for a fraction of the price of actually having that call it veneer stone put on there.
Yeah, there's a few varieties of the stone. Some are coming in sheets. They have them that are in sheets. They put up like a 4x8 sheet. And then the ones that I'm talking about are smaller. They're put up more individually, like a authentic brick or stone.
Right.
And they usually would use a similar type of a mortar cement to put this on the house, and it works good.
I had this thought. I was driving through Maryland by the water, Ocean City. Took a road trip Memorial Day weekend, and so many houses. I mean, by the water, you have major challenges. I'm sure you're in New Jersey. You deal with that too. How do you get around that? Is it just let's elevate the house?
Yeah, there was a situation from the last big storm that just happened over here with the water. A lot of basements flooded. I think it was really on the news, saying that there's some basement walls caved in and things like that. And I'm working on a few houses. The foundations were flooded in. So I think the first design consideration is to get rid of the idea of living on the ground level and just having all the living areas on upper floors. So that is the new way of doing it. I'm working on a number of jobs like that, and it seems to be working good. So what we're doing is the first floor, the ground floor, we're just keeping as like a garage area, some recreation area, and taking all the living space and trying to put it back up to the first floor. Really, so it come out to like 2 floors plus the basement level.
In a
We have a
situation
garage
like that,
usually.
if you haven't done that from the original build on the house, is that something that you can do at that point? Can you lift the house up? Is that even possible?
I think yeah, there's some situations where you would take the existing house and you would try to lift it. They have a system of using hydraulic jacks, and some people might lift it up a couple of feet depending on the floodplain, and then they would construct a foundation under that. Yeah, that is a possibility. I've worked on a number of jobs near the floodplain areas over here in New York and in New Jersey with the flood areas, and that's always consideration, is to lift the house up. So that is, and then some of those things might involve getting what's called a FEMA letter. You have to get a letter from them to get their approval for the height of the finished floor and things like that.
We're talking with licensed master architect, Mr. John Riggio. You can find him at johnriggio.com, John Riggio. And architecture trends for 2022. What are some of the other ones that stand out in your mind that you get requests for or you're seeing a lot of, John?
Oh, okay. Well, I think there's new technology. As far as new technologies is concerned, like smart buildings is, I think each house that we're building is becoming more of a smart house. They usually are including things like video doorbells, security alarm cameras, and then all these things are connected into one central control area. A lot of times it's put it under the stair, and they might have like a little video monitor with your Wi-Fi and things like that. And then, so that's one new trend also that is included in construction. New construction is having more of a smart house.
So how does that play out for you? when you're designing the house, you have to make sure that you have room for the wires, I guess, in the chase of the walls to make sure that, I mean, a lot of stuff is wireless. I love wireless, but I love wires too, because when it's hardwired, you don't have to worry about it. You know it's always going to work.
Yes, we do have to show on the plan, and I would usually show like say a Wi-Fi room where they would have all those different systems where they'd be located. And I think that's also like with sometimes people like to put more sophisticated audio. They put in things like a theater room,
Mm.
and we show the location of the theater electronics where they're going to go. So a lot of times they have things like that in the houses too.
Oh, that is my envious point right there, the home theater room. Have you designed some? Do you get requests for that?
Yeah, I think the home theater room is pretty basic. They have different kinds of installers that already know what they're going to do as far as putting up a video screen, some movie seats, and the audio system. It's
Hmm.
somewhat standard. It so the room I would show it isn't something like a new invention. It's sort of a standard room that people would usually have, and then they would have to get an audio company to put all these different things in the room.
What in the years, and you've been doing this for a lot of years, what's the most unusual thing that somebody has asked for? And you think of anything, and stick out on your mind that they said, yeah, can you design this? Anything that comes to mind?
Oh.
Anything unusual?
No, not really.
All right, I'm going to ask you an odd question because I saw this in a movie not too long ago. A safe room where if, somebody's just afraid that something might happen in life and it's just a room that is completely sealed off. Has anybody ever asked for something like that? Do you ever have to design something like that?
But I haven't had to design anything like that for a safe room. I've seen like on television and things like that that people
Yeah.
design things like fallout shelters and
Mm.
things like that. But I haven't really had to design any for anyone's project. They haven't had any concern for things like that.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. That we're not worried about stuff like that at this point. Uh, any other trends? What about somebody told me something about floating architecture? I saw that somewhere. What would that be? Does that stand out in your mind? Have you ever heard about floating architecture?
In fact, I don't really haven't had to really work on too many floating architecture. I think the only floating architecture they have right now that people are sort of looking at is the open stairs. They have open stair treads. And it's a lot of people are starting to slowly trend to like a curved stair, a curved main stair. Some of the curved main stairs are open. So they have like, you see just like the treads and some of them are open. So that is a trend that's slowly coming about with some curved stairs. So the area between the stair going up and the stair going down, they're getting rid of the wall. So it's that is like a floating trend. Yes, is the main stair
Well, I'm trying to get
is
it.
starting to open up more, where it's just open and it doesn't have any walls between like the stair going up and maybe the stair that would go to a lower level.
I'm trying to get a view of that. That's wow. That's like a talk about open concept. That is completely open in going from upstairs to downstairs.
Yes, that's the newest trend that's slowly coming about. And I
Hmm.
think the next thing is maybe just to open up the whole tread altogether, where you just see the tread and you would have like a main stringer that would hold all the treads together. That's like the design trend is heading.
So does that mean that let's say the stair, you have one stair, two stair, three stair. Usually you have a wall here or I'm not sure, what you would call that. Is that just all open? Is that what you mean?
Yes, you're removing the wall. The wall isn't structural anyway, so they're removing the wall. You just have the stringer for the stair that supports it,
Hmm.
and then the rest of it is open, so it has a floating look.
Gotcha. Was that big? Was that big in like the 70s or the early 80s? I'm seeing visuals of that maybe on TV that there were a lot of stairs like that.
Yes, they've had other trends like that in the past. Yeah, where the stairs have been open.
Hmm.
Yeah, this it's so I think that trend is coming about usually with a curved stair. That's the how it sort of looks. A curved stair that doesn't have any wall underneath it. That is the new trend that is slowly coming up. I have a few jobs that are starting to get constructed with the curved stair like that.
Is there still on the residential side? I know you do a lot of commercial work as well, but on the residential side, Do people still ask for the classic Victorian home, wraparound porch? Is that still popular?
Uh, yes, I think usually that situation is only coming about in an area where there's like a lot of historic houses, landmark houses, where we really make the house look more like an historic house instead of say like a contemporary house. And I think the only consideration with that is the value of the house. Just going through some recent things is the house look, the whole house looking very expensive compared to just a simple looking house. So
Gotcha.
that is that's the only consideration. But I don't have any mind really designing a period house that would match landmark. I've worked on a number of jobs like that. It's a fun thing to do. You're matching the historic standards, so that isn't a problem. But usually, that's only usually it's coming about in really more like a historic area.
So I'm just a final question here, and this would be my style. Tropical, in colder weather climates. Do you ever get any requests for a house that has a more tropical look to it?
No, I think a lot of things that really
I'll be your first one. I'll be your
Yes.
first one. Yeah. What about, in terms of that type of architectural roof, a Spanish kind of look to it? You don't do anything like that? I haven't got requests.
I do some houses like that. Yes, I have there's a nice house on Long Island where we use the Ludwicki Spanish clay tiles. They're very heavy
Okay.
tiles, and we did the whole roof with that. And then there was we even took a lot of that at that time. We took some tiles and we put it on one of the apartment buildings. So it's I have used those before. Yes.
So out of curiosity, here's the geek in me. When you do that kind of, call it Spanish tile, is it a regular roof underneath that? And that's just a facade that's on there just for decoration?
It is. It's a standard roof that's underneath it. And really for a heavy roof, it just has to have a strong roof rafters under there. It's going to support a heavy roof like that.
And is it really tile that you're putting up there?
Yeah, they make a couple of varieties of that. One, they make authentic clay, and I've seen some synthetic ones. They're making them out of like a plastic material that are much lighter.
And if it is clay, and I've always wondered, so these are questions I'd only get to get answered by an architect, but how do they affix them to the roof? How do they? I mean, you can't put a screw through or a nail through clay. So how do they do that?
Well, yeah, that kind of clay roof is a system that's been around many years. They have a standard installation system of fastening to the roof. It's a very standard roof. It holds on there without any problem. It isn't something difficult to make it work.
Fascinating. Yeah. It's funny when we think about all this architecture, this is our lives. Like we live in rooms, we live in houses, and somebody's got to put that together and come up with a concept. And that would be somebody like Mr. John Riggio. You can find him at John Riggio, RIGGIO.com is the website. And we're just about out of time, but great talking with you, John, about the trends, architectural trends for 2022. And I hope we can get together sometime again real soon.
Great, thanks. And it was good talking to you, Jim.
You too, John. All right.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.